Welcome to Stoic Today, where transformation begins not with noise, but with clarity. Before you go any further, take a moment to do something powerful for your future. Click the subscribe button, leave a meaningful comment, and allow this message to ignite a deeper level of awareness and growth in your life. Thank you for being here. Your time is valuable, and this content was created to honor it. Now, let's go deeper. Please continue listening to the wonderful content below. Persevere to overcome all challenges to achieve wealth, success, happiness, and a fulfilling life. Please listen to the next great content. You're not weak, you're just stuck in a pattern. It's time to break it, rewrite your story, and become the person you were always meant to be. Kill the weak version of yourself and unlock your full potential. Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in life when you have to make a decision to kill the weak version of yourself, not tomorrow, not next week, but today. Because if you don't, that weaker version will keep you small, keep you afraid, and keep you from becoming everything you were created to be. Think about it. How long have you been carrying the same excuses? How long have you been telling yourself, I'll start next week, or I just don't feel motivated? Right now, that's not you talking, that's the weaker version of you. The one that's addicted to comfort, afraid of challenges, and satisfied with just getting by. But let me tell you something. Self-reflection is the foundation of personal transformation. It is the moment when you take a step back and ask yourself the hard questions that most people avoid. It requires honesty, vulnerability, and the willingness to confront the uncomfortable truths about yourself. Many people go through life on autopilot, repeating the same behaviors, making same excuses and expecting different results, but nothing changes until you recognize what needs to be changed. Ask yourself, who am I right now? Am I the person I want to be? Am I living up to my potential? Or am I settling? These questions are not meant to make you feel bad about yourself, but to wake you up, because the first step to killing the weaker version of yourself is to identify the weak version of you. Is the one that hesitates, that overthinks, that constantly waits for the right time. It's the version that talks about what you should do, but never takes action. It's the version that makes excuses instead of progress. The truth is, you already know where you need to improve. You know the habits that are holding you back. You know when you're wasting time. You know when you're choosing comfort over progress. Don't need anyone to tell you these things, because deep down you feel it every time you procrastinate. You feel the regret. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you feel weaker. Every time you take the easy way out, you feel a little less confident. But here's the good news. You don't have to stay that way. Weakness is not a permanent condition. It is a pattern of behavior, and patterns can be broken. You are not stuck. You are not destined to be the same person forever. You have the power to change, but change requires effort. It requires commitment. It requires discipline, and most of all, it requires a decision. At some point, you have to make a decision that enough is enough. No more excuses, no more settling, no more being okay with mediocrity. That decision is what separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck. Success doesn't happen by accident. It happens because someone made a choice to grow, a choice to be better, a choice to refuse to let their weak self win. But self-reflection is not just about identifying your weaknesses. It's also about recognizing your strengths. Because when you see what you are capable of, you realize how much potential you have been wasting. Think about the times in your life when you were disciplined, when you were focused, when you pushed past challenges and came out stronger. Those moments prove that you are capable of more. If you've done it before, you can do it again. The problem is that too many people define themselves by their weakest moments instead of their strongest ones. If you keep telling yourself that you're lazy, that you're undisciplined, that you're not good enough, you will live out that identity. Your actions will always align with the story you tell yourself. If you believe you are weak, you will act weak. If you believe you are strong, you will act strong. So what story are you telling yourself? What identity are you reinforcing every day? Because you have in the power to change the narrative. You have the power to rewrite your story. The problem is, change is uncomfortable. Growth is painful. It forces you to do things you don't feel like doing. It forces you to wake up early to push through. Fatigue to show up when you don't feel motivated. And this is where most people fail.
They let their emotions dictate their actions. They wait to feel motivated before they take action. But motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. If you only take action when you feel like it, you will never get anywhere. This is why discipline is more important than motivation. Discipline is doing what needs to be done. Even when you don't feel like it, discipline is choosing long-term success over short-term. Comfort discipline is showing up every single day, no matter what the weak version of you wants to take the easy route. It wants to stay in bed instead of working out. It wants to scroll through social media instead of working on your goals. It wants to avoid the hard work because hard work is uncomfortable. But think about this. If you don't change, where will you be a year from now, 5 years from now? Will you still be stuck in the same cycle of procrastination and regret? Or will you be proud of the person you've become? The choice is yours, because at the end part of the day, no one is coming to save you. No one is going to force you to become better. No one is going to do the work for you. It's on you. You have to want it bad enough. You have to wake up every day with the mindset that you are in control of your life. That means eliminating distractions, cutting out negativity, focusing on what truly matters. It means setting clear goals and committing to them with everything you have. It means being ruthless about your progress. No more waiting for the perfect moment. No more half-hearted efforts. No more settling for average. Because here's the truth. There is no perfect moment. There is no right time. The only time is now. And if you don't take action now, when will you? How much longer are you willing to wait? How much longer are you going to let the weaker version of you dictate your life? You have two choices. You can keep making EXE excuses, or you can make progress. You can keep repeating the same cycle, or you can break it. You can keep settling, or you can step into the strongest version of yourself. So what will you choose? Will you let your weak self win? Or will you kill it once and for all? Because the moment you decide to kill that weak version of yourself is the moment you take back control of your life. And once you take control, there is nothing that can stop you taking responsibility. For your life is the most powerful decision you will ever make. It means no more blaming others, no more pointing fingers, and no more waiting for someone else to change your circumstances. It means looking in the mirror and accepting that your current situation is a direct result of the choices you have. That truth may be difficult to accept, but it is also liberating, because if your past choices created your present, then your present choices can create a better future. Most people go through life making excuses. They blame their upbringing, their environment, their lack of resources. They wait for the right opportunity, the right moment, the perfect conditions. Life will always be full of challenges, obstacles, and setbacks. And the difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not luck, intelligence, or talent. It is responsibility. It is the decision to own everything in your life, both the good and the bad. When you take responsibility, you stop being a victim. You stop waiting for someone to fix your problems. You stop hoping for a lucky break. Instead, you take control. You stop saying I can't, and you start asking, how can I? You stop making excuses and start making adjustments. You stop dwelling on what went wrong and start focusing on what you can do right now to make things better. Taking responsibility means understanding that no one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you success. No one is going to do the work for you. It is up to you. If you are not where you want to be in life, then it is your responsibility to change. If you are not happy with your results, then it is your responsibility to do something about it. Complaining changes nothing. Blaming changes nothing. The only thing that changes your life is action. But taking responsibility is not just about taking control of your circumstances. It is also about taking control of your mind, because the way you think determines the A network area occurred. Please check your connection and try again. If this issue persists, please contact us through our help center at Help Open AI. Breaking free from old habits is one of the most difficult yet necessary steps in personal growth. Habits are powerful because they shape your daily actions. And your daily actions determine your future. If you want to kill the weak version of yourself, you must first identify and eliminate the habits that are keeping you stuck. Most people lives on autopilot, repeating the same routines without questioning whether those routines are leading them towards success or failure. They wake up, check their phones, waste time on social media, procrastinate on their goals, and then wonder why they are not making progress. If you truly want to transform You must break these cycles. You must become conscious of how you are spending your time, energy, and focus. One of the biggest reasons people fail to break free from bad habits is because they underestimate their power. They tell themselves, it's just one more hour of television, or it's just one more day of skipping the gym, but one more day turns into one more week, one more month. And before you know what years have passed and you are still in the same place. Bad habits do not destroy your life overnight, but they do so gradually, one decision at a time. The weak version of you thrives on these bad habits. It wants comfort, not discipline. It wants easy pleasure, not long-term rewards. It wants to stay the same, even though you know deep down you are capable of more. But here is the good news: habits can be changed, no matter how long you have been stuck in the same cycles. You have the power to break free. The process is not easy, but it is simple. It starts with awareness. You must become aware of the actions that are leading you away from your goals. Once you are aware, the next step is to replace bad habits with good ones. You cannot just stop a habit. You must replace it with something better. If you are used to wasting time on social media, replace that time with reading or working on your goals. If you are used to skipping workouts, replace that laziness with discipline. If you are used to negative self-talk, replace it with affirmations of strength and confidence. The key is consistency. You will not see results overnight, but over time, small changes lead to massive transformation. One of the biggest obstacles people face when trying to break free from old habits is their environment. If you surround yourself with people who encourage your bad habits, it will be almost impossible to change. If your friends waste time, you will waste time. If the people around you are undisciplined, you will become undisciplined. You must take control of your environment. That means cutting out distractions, setting clear boundaries, and surrounding yourself with people who push you to be better. It also means changing the way you see yourself. If you see yourself as someone who is lazy and undisciplined, you will continue to act that way. But if you start to see yourself as someone who is committed, disciplined, and focused, your actions will begin to align with that identity. Your habits are a reflection of your identity. If you want to change your habits, you must first change the way you see yourself. The journey of breaking free from old habits is not easy, but it is worth it. It requires patience, consistency, and the willingness to push through discomfort. There will be days when you want to give up. There will be times when you fall back into old patterns. But what matters is that you keep going. Do not let one mistake turn into a reason to quit. Every time you make the right choice, you are one step closer to becoming the person you were meant to be. The weak version of you is waiting for you to give up. It wants you to fall back into comfort and routine. But you have a choice. You can choose discipline over excuses. You can choose growth over stagnation. You can choose to break free from the habits that have been holding you back. And when you do, you will realize that the only thing that was ever standing in your way was you. Self-discipline is the foundation of all success. It is the ability to control your thoughts, emotion, and actions in pursuit of your goals, even when motivation fades. Many people rely on motivation to take action, but motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes. Self-discipline, on the other hand, is what keeps you moving forward, even when you don't feel like it. It is what separates those who achieve great things from those who remain stuck in the same place year after you. If you want to kill the weak version of yourself, you must develop self-discipline. The weak version of you is driven by comfort. It seeks pleasure over progress, distractions over discipline, and excuses over execution. It tells you to hit the snooze button, to skip the workout, to delay your goals until tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes. The disciplined version of you, however, takes action. Regardless of how you feel, it wakes up early, even when it's hard. It works out even when it's uncomfortable. It pushes forward, even when the odds are against it. This is the version of you that achieves success. Self-discipline is not something you are born with. It is something you build. And like any muscle, it grows stronger with consistent effort. The first step to developing self-discipline is setting clear goals without a clear goal. You have no direction, no reason to push through challenge. You need a vision of where you want to go, who you want to become, and what you want to achieve. The stronger your vision, the stronger your discipline will be. When you have a powerful reason behind your actions, it becomes easier to stay committed. Once your goals are clear, the next step is creating a plan. Discipline thrives on structure. If you wake up every day without a plan, you will fall into bad habits. By default, the weak version of you will take over, and before you know it, the day is wasted. But when you have a structured routine, your actions become automatic. You don't have to decide whether or not to take action. You simply follow the plan. This removes the mental battle of should I or shouldn't I, and replaces it with a system that ensures progress. Building discipline also requires controlling your environment. If you surround yourself with distractions, you will struggle to stay focused. If your phone is filled with social media notifications, it will be nearly impossible to resist checking it. If you keep junk food in your house, it will be difficult to eat clean. You must eliminate temptations and make discipline the easy choice. This means designing your environment in a way that supports your goals. If you want to read more, keep books within reach. If you want to work out, consistently set out. Your gym clothes the night before. Small changes in your environment lead to big changes in your behavior. Another crucial aspect of self-discipline is learning to delay gratification. The weak version of you wants everything now. It wants results without effort, success without struggle, and rewards without sacrifice. But true success comes from the ability to endure short-term discomfort for long-term gain. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you strengthen your ability to delay gratification. Every time you resist the urge to quit, you reinforce the mindset of a winner. Success is not about making one big decision. It is about making the right small decisions consistently over time. One of the biggest obstacles to self-discipline is negative self-talk. The weak version of you will constantly try to convince you that you're not good enough, that you're not capable, that it's too hard. If you listen to these thoughts, they will become your reality. You must replace them with thoughts of strength and confidence. Instead of saying, I can't do this, say, I am capable and committed. Instead of saying, this is too hard, say, I will find a way. Your thoughts shape your actions, and your actions shape your results. Discipline is also about accountability. When no one is watching, will you still do the work? Will you still follow through on your commitments? The weak version of you wants to take shortcuts, to do the bare minimum, to quit when things get tough. But the disciplined version of you holds itself accountable. It does what needs to be done, not because someone is watching, but because success requires consistency. If you struggle with accountability, find a way to hold yourself to a higher standard. Track your progress, set deadlines, and surround yourself with people who push you to be better. Ultimately, self-discipline is the bridge between who you are now and who you want to become. It is the difference between success and failure, between growth and stagnation. The weak version of you will always look for an excuse to quit, but the disciplined version of you will always find a reason to keep going. Every day you have a choice. You can give in to your excuses, or you can take control of your future. The choice is yours. Your mindset is the foundation of everything you do. It determines how you react to challenges, how you handle setbacks, whether you push forward or give up. If you want to kill the weak version of yourself, you must first transform your mindset. The weak version of you is filled with doubt, fear, and excuses. It sees obstacles as reasons to quit. It constantly seeks comfort instead of growth. It focuses on problems instead of solutions. But if you want to succeed, you must shift your thinking. You must train your mind to see opportunities where others see limitations. You must develop a mindset that refuses to accept mediocrity. One of the biggest differences between those who succeed and those who fail is how they handle adversity. The weak version of you runs from challenges. It gets discouraged by failure and assumes that setbacks mean you are not meant to succeed. But the strong version of you sees adversity is an opportunity. It understands that failure is not the opposite of success, but a necessary step toward it. Every setback is a lesson. Every mistake is an opportunity to improve. And every challenge is a chance to grow stronger. When you develop a mindset that embraces struggle, nothing can stop you. You stop seeing failure as a personal weakness and start seeing it as feedback. You realize that every successful person has faced obstacles, but what separates them is that they refuse to quit your thoughts. Shake your reality. If you constantly tell yourself that you are not good enough, that you are not smart enough, or that you are not capable, those thoughts will become your truth. The weak version of you thrives on negative self-talk. It convinces you that you are stuck, that you are a victim, of your circumstances, that success is only for others. But none of that is true. The strong version of you speaks power into your life. It tells you that you are capable, that you are strong, and that you have everything you need to succeed. The words you speak to yourself matter if you want to transform your life. Start by transforming your inner dialogue. Replace negative thoughts with affirmations of strength and possibility. Instead of saying, I can't do this, say, I will find a way. Instead of saying, this is too hard, say, this challenge will make me stronger. The way you talk to yourself determines the way you show up in the world. Another critical aspect of mindset is taking responsibility. The weak version of you blames others for its problems. It makes excuses. It says, I can't say because of my past, my circumstances, my environment. It waits for external factors to change instead of taking control. But the strong version of you takes full responsibility. It understands that no one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you success. No one owes you anything. If you want to change your life, you must take ownership of it. This means no more blaming, no more complaining, no more excuses. The moment you take full responsibility for your actions, your mindset shifts from helpless to powerful. You start focusing on solutions instead of problems. You realize the decision you make is shaping your future. Discipline is a major part of mindset transformation. The weak version of you waits for motivation to take action. It starts something when it feels inspired, but the moment that inspiration fades, it quits. But the strong version of you relies on discipline, not feelings. It does what needs to be done regardless of emotions. If you only take action when you feel like it, you will never achieve your goals. Growth requires consistency. Consistency requires discipline. This means showing up every day, even when you don't want to. It means doing the hard things. Even when you are tired, it means pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone, because comfort will never lead to greatness. Your environment plays a huge role in your mindset. The weak version of you surrounds itself with negativity. It listens to people who doubt, who complain, who live in fear. It absorbs limiting beliefs from others and allows negativity to shape its think. But the strong version of you is intentional about its environment. It surrounds itself with people who inspire, who challenge, who push for greatness. It reads books that expand its thinking. It consumes content that feeds its mind with knowledge and wisdom. If you want to transform your mindset, audit your environment, cut out negativity, be mindful of what you consume. Protect your mind from anything that weakens it. Growth requires sacrifice. The weak version of you wants success without struggle. It wants results without effort. It wants change without sacrifice. But the strong version of you understands that every level of success requires letting go of something you may need to let go of. Bad habits, of toxic relationships, of limiting beliefs. You may need to sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term rewards. The question is, what are you willing to give up? In order to gain the life you want, many people stay stuck because they are unwilling to make sacrifices. They are unwilling to let go of comfort. But if you want to reach your full potential, you must be willing to let go of anything that is holding you back. Mindset transformation is not a one-time decision. It is a daily commitment every day. You must choose to think differently, to act differently, to push yourself beyond the limits of yesterday. The weak version of you will try to pull you back into old patterns, but you must resist you. Must remind yourself of your goals, of your vision, of the person you are becoming. Success is not about luck or talent. It is about mindset. If you can control your mind, you can control your future. Every great achievement begins with the decision to believe in yourself. The question is, are you willing to make that decision today? The habits you develop daily shape the person you become. The weak version of you is controlled by habits that provide temporary comfort but lead to long-term regret. It procrastinates, indulges in distractions, and avoids anything that requires discipline. It stays up late scrolling through social media instead of getting rest. It chooses fast food over nourishing the body. It watches hours of entertainment but invests time in learning and self-improvement. The weak version of you is driven by impulse rather than intention. It allows emotions to dictate decisions instead of staying committed to a higher purpose. If you want to kill that weak version of yourself, you must build habits that align with the person you want to become. Success is not about one grand achievement, but about the small, consistent actions you take every day. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stuck is not talent or intelligence. It is discipline and consistency. The weak version of you makes excuses that says, I'll start tomorrow, or I don't have time, or I'm just not motivated. But the strong version of you understands that progress comes from taking action, regardless of how you feel. It knows that motivation is unreliable and that habits are what create real change. When you build strong habits, you eliminate the need to rely on willpower. You no longer have to force yourself to do what needs to be done because it becomes automatic. You wake up early without hitting snooze because you have trained yourself to value your time you exercise, not because you feel like fit, but because it has become part of who you are. You focus on your work without distractions because you have disciplined your mind. Changing your habits starts with changing your identity. If you see yourself as someone who struggles with discipline, you will continue to reinforce that belief. But when you start telling yourself, I am disciplined, I am focused, I am committed, your actions begin to align with that identity. The weak version of you identifies with struggle, while the strong version of you identifies with growth. This is why people say, I'm just not a morning person. Continue to struggle with waking up early. They have convinced themselves that their habits are part of who they are rather than something they can change. The moment you shift your identity, your habits will follow. If you believe you are someone who is dedicated to self-improvement, you will start making choices that reflect the belief. Your habits determine your future. If you consistently waste time, neglect and your health and avoid hard work, your future will reflect those choices. But if you build habits that prioritize growth, discipline, and self-mastery, your future will be a reflection of that as well. Many people want success but are unwilling to change their habits. They dream of financial freedom but refuse to develop better spending and saving habits. They want a strong body but refuse to commit to healthy eating and exercise. They want a better life but refuse to sacrifice their bad habits. If you want to elevate your life, you must first elevate your habits. One of the biggest obstacles to developing strong habits is instant gratification. The weak version of prioritizes pleasure over progress. It seeks the easy path, the quick reward, the temporary high. It spends money recklessly for immediate satisfaction rather than saving and investing for long-term security. It seeks comfort and unhealthy food. Instead of choosing what nourishes the body, it avoids difficult tasks and instead chooses entertainment, procrastination, and distractions. But the strong version of you delays gratification. It understands that success is built over time through discipline and patience. It chooses long-term rewards over short-term pleasure. It invests in personal growth, knowing that the benefits will come later. It sacrifices today's comfort for tomorrow's greatness. If you want to change your habits, start by auditing your daily routine. Every habit you have either brings you closer to your goals or pushes you further away. What do you do first thing in the morning? Do you start your day with intention, or do you waste time on distractions? How do you spend your evenings? Do you invest in learning, reflection, and planning for the next day, or do you waste on meaningless activities? The weak version of you lets the day control it, while the strong version of you takes control of the day. If you're not intentional about your habits, you will fall into patterns of mediocrity building. Strong habits requires removing temptations that trigger bad ones. If you struggle with wasting time on social media, delete the apps or set time limits. If you find yourself constantly eating unhealthy foods, remove them from your environment and stock up on better options. If you procrastinate on your work, create a structured schedule and eliminate distractions. The weak version of you tries to rely on willpower alone, but willpower is limited. The strong version of you creates an environment that makes success inevitable. It structures life in a way that supports good habits and eliminates bad ones. Repetition is key to forming habits. Many people start strong but quit after a few days or weeks because they don't see immediate results. But real transformation comes from consistent effort over time. The weak version of you expects instant results and gives up when things don't happen quickly. The strong version of you trusts the process. It understands that small daily actions compound into massive success. It knows that habits take time to solidify and remains committed even when progress feels slow. The final step in building strong habits is self-discipline. There will be moments when the weak version of you tries to pull you back into old patterns. But discipline is what separates the strong from the weak. It is doing what is necessary, regardless of emotions. It is showing up every single day, no matter what it is. Refusing to let excuses dictate your future. Every great achievement is built on the foundation of strong habits. If you want to become the best version of yourself, commit to daily excellence. Replace bad habits with empowering ones. Structure your life around growth and discipline, master your habits, and you will master your future. The weak version of you will always seek comfort, but the strong version of you will seek greatness. The choice is yours. Your comfort zone is the cage that traps you in mediocrity. It is the space where you feel safe, but it is also the space where you remain stagnant. The weak version of you finds comfort in routines that require no effort, no challenge, and no discomfort. It prefers to stay in the familiar. Even if the familiar is unfulfilling, it avoids taking risks because risks come with uncertainty. Refuses to step outside its usual patterns because that requires effort, and effort is uncomfortable, but nothing great is ever achieved in. Comfort growth only happens when you push beyond what feels safe and easy. The person you are today is a direct result of the comfort zone you have lived in. If you are not where you want to be, it is because you have stayed within boundaries that are too small for your potential. The weak version of you resists discomfort. It avoids the gym because exercise is hard. It avoids difficult conversations because they require vulnerability. It avoids taking on new challenges because failure is a possibility. But avoiding discomfort does not protect you. It limits you. Every successful person you admire has one thing in common. They embrace discomfort. They did things that were difficult. They face challenges head on. They understood that growth requires pain, struggle, and persistence. They were willing to be uncomfortable in order to become better. If you want to kill the weak version of yourself, you must make discomfort your ally. You must stop running from the hard things and start seeking them out. The stronger version of you understands that every challenge is an opportunity for growth. It does not avoid fear. It steps into it. It does not run from failure. It learns from it. Your comfort zone creates an illusion of security. It makes you believe that as long as you avoid risk, you will be safe. But real danger lies in staying the same. If you never push yourself beyond your current limits, you will wake up years from now in the same place with the same struggles, wondering why your life never changed. Comfort leads to regret. The weak version of you will tell you that you have time, that you can wait, that you can always start later, but later turns into never. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you delay your potential. You put off your dreams, your goals, and your greatness. The only way to break free from this cycle is to force yourself to do the things you resist. Take action before you feel ready. Say yes to challenges before you know if you can handle them. Push yourself into situations that force you to grow. One of the most powerful things you can do to kill the weak version of yourself is to set goals that scare you, goals that seem impossible, goals that require you to become someone stronger, more disciplined, more relentless. The weak version of you sets small, safe goals. It chooses what is easily achievable to avoid the risk of failure. But the stronger version of you understands that big goals demand big growth. They force you to stretch beyond what you thought possible. They make you uncomfortable, and in that discomfort, transform fear is the tool that keeps you inside your comfort zone. The weak version of you listens to fear. It hears the voice that says, what if I fail? What if I embarrass myself? What if I'm not good enough? And instead of pushing forward, it retreats. But fear is not a stop sign. It is a signal that you are about to do something important. Every time you feel fear, it means you are standing at the edge of your growth. The strong version of you does not run from fear. It uses fear as fuel. It understands that fear and EXE are two sides of the same coin. If something scares you, it means it has the power to change you. Instead of stepping back, step forward, move toward the fear, challenge yourself to embrace it rather than avoid it. Discomfort is not something to endure. It is something to seek. Every time you do something hard, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more. Every time you step into the unknown, you build confidence. Every time you push past what feels comfortable, you expand your potential. The weak version of you waits until it feels ready. It waits for the perfect moment, the perfect conditions, to the perfect level of confidence. But readiness is a myth. You will never feel completely ready to grow. And that is why you must act before you feel prepared. The strong version of you takes the first step. Even when doubt is present, understands that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. Success is a byproduct of discomfort. The person who wakes up early to work on their dreams despite feeling tired succeeds. The person who shows up at the gym even when they don't feel like it transforms their body. The person who speaks up in meetings, even when their voice shakes, becomes a leader. The weak version of you waits until motivation appears, but the strong version of you creates progress through discipline. It does what needs to be done. Regardless of how it feels, if you want to change your life, make discomfort a habit. Train yourself to choose the harder path. Do the things that make you nervous. Challenge yourself daily to step beyond what is easy. Speak when you feel like staying silent. Move when you feel like standing still. Act. When you feel like hesitating every time you do, you weaken the part of you that clings to comfort. You strengthen the version of yourself that is bold, resilient, and unstoppable. The moment you stop fearing discomfort is the moment you take control of your destiny. When you embrace difficulty, you realize that nothing is as hard as your mind makes it seem. You discover that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. You understand that success is not for the lucky or the talented. It is for those who are willing to do what others want. The weak version of you will always seek ease, but the strong version of you seeks excellence, and excellence is born in discomfort. The weak version of yourself thrives on excuses. It finds reasons why you can't start today, why you don't have enough time, why the circumstances aren't right. It convinces you that you need more resources, more knowledge, more motivation before you can take action. But excuses are nothing more than limitations you place on yourself. They are the chains that keep you stuck in the same place, reliving the same struggles, making the same empty promises to yourself. The truth is, there will never be a perfect time. There will never be an ideal moment when every aligns and taking action feels easy. The only time you have is now, and the only way to break free from this cycle is to take responsibility for your life. The weak version of you blames external factors. It looks at the economy, the government, the people around you, and finds reasons why success isn't possible. It points fingers and complains about the obstacles in its path, but blaming others only strips you of your power. Every time you place the responsibility on something outside of yourself, you give away control over your own future. The stronger version of you understands that life is not fair, but fairness is irrelevant. What matters is what you do with the hand you've been dealt. There are people who have started with less than you faced, more adversity than you, and still found a way to rise. They did not allow excuses to dictate their future. They took ownership of their reality and made a decision to create change. If you want to kill the weak version of yourself, you must eliminate excuses from your vocabulary. You must replace I can't with I will. You must stop telling yourself that you need to wait for the right moment and start taking action today. Every excuse you hold on to is a wall between you and your potential. It is the reason why your goals remain dreams instead of reality. The truth is, success is not reserved for the lucky or the talented. It is reserved for those who refuse to accept excuses. It is for the people who wake up early, even when they're tired, who work on their craft, even when they don't feel motivated, who push through discomfort because they understand that the price of success is discipline. The weak version of you looks for shortcuts. It wants results without the effort. It wants success without sacrifice. It wants the reward without the struggle. But nothing great comes without hard work. Every successful person you admire has put in years of effort, discipline, and sacrifice to get where they are. They did not look for the easy way out. They committed to the process. No matter how difficult, if you are constantly looking for the fastest way to success, you will always be disappointed. Real achievement takes time. It takes persistence. It requires you to show up every single day, even when progress feels slow. The strong version of you understands that the only shortcut is consistency. The more you commit to the work, the faster you grow, the more disciplined you are, the quicker you move forward. The weak version of you waits for motivation. It believes that in order to take action, it needs to feel inspired. But motivation is fleeting. Some days you will wake up feeling energized and ready to take on the world. Other days you will feel drained, discouraged, and unmotivated. If you only take action when you feel like it, you will never build the habits necessary for success. The strongest version of you operates on discipline, not emotion. It does what needs to be done regardless of how it feels. It understands that progress is made in the moments when you push through resistance, when you go to the gym, even when you're tired, when you sit down to work, even when you don't feel inspired, when you keep going, even when results aren't immediate. Excuses are seductive because they offer comfort. They allow you to avoid the hard truth. That change requires effort, but comfort is the enemy of growth. The longer you stay in your comfort zone, the further you are from the life you want to live. Growth happens when you challenge yourself, when you do the things you've been avoiding, when you face the fears that have been holding you back. Every excuse you eliminate brings you closer to the person you are meant to be. The weak version of you gives up easily. It starts a new habit, a new project, a new goal. But the moment things get tough, it looks for a way out. It convinces you that it's not worth it, that the struggle is too hard, that you should just quit. But quitting only guarantees failure. The strong version of you knows that success is a game of endurance. It is not about how fast you start. It is about how long you can persist. The most successful people are not the ones who had the best circumstances. They are the ones who refused to quit. They kept going when things got hard. They found solutions instead of excuses. They pushed through setbacks instead of giving up. You have two choices. You can continue to let excuses run your life, or you can take control. You can keep telling yourself that you'll start tomorrow, or you can start now. You can keep waiting for the perfect moment, or you can create the moment. You can keep blaming circumstances, or you can take ownership of your future. The decision is yours, but you know this, every time you make an excuse, you give power to the weak version of yourself, and the weak version of you will always keep you small, afraid, and unfulfilled. The strongest version of you is waiting on the other side of your excuses. It is the version that takes action even when it's inconvenient, the version that finds solutions instead of problems, the version that shows up, works hard, and refuses to quit. That version of you already exists. It is simply buried under layers of doubt, fear, and hesitation. Your job is to remove those layers, to stop listening to the voice that tells you that you can't, to silence the part of you that wants to stay comfortable, to take action no matter how small, fall every single day. Excuses will always be there, but so will opportunities. The question is, which one will you choose? The weak version of you will always find reasons to wait, to hesitate, to stay the same. But the strong version of you knows that the only way forward is action. Kill the weak version of yourself by refusing to accept anything less than your best. Stop making excuses and start making progress, because the life you want is on the other side of every excuse you've ever made. The weak version of yourself is controlled by fear. It hesitates, doubts, and overthinks every decision. It constantly imagines the worst possible outcomes, creating scenarios in your mind where everything falls apart. This fear keeps you paralyzed, preventing you from taking action towards your goals. You hesitate to start that new project, to step into the unknown, to take risks, because your weak self convinces you that failure is inevitable. But fear is nothing more than an illusion, a mental construct that only has power if you allow it to control you. Fear exists to keep you safe, but in reality, it often keeps you small. It keeps you trapped in mediocrity, preventing you from discovering what you are truly capable of. Your weak self magnifies fear, making it seem larger than it is. It makes you believe that failure is the worst possible outcome, but failure is not the end. It is a stepping stone. Every person who has ever achieved something great has failed more times than they can count. The difference is that they did not let fear stop them. They faced it, embraced it, and kept moving forward. Despite it, the weak version of you wants you to stay where you are because it is comfortable. It whispers in your ear that staying the same is easier than taking risks. But what it doesn't tell you is that comfort is a slow death. The longer you avoid challenges, the more your potential withers away. If you want to kill the weak version of yourself, you must confront fear head on. You must stop running from the things that make you uncomfortable. The greatest growth happens in moments of discomfort. Every time you push through fear, you become stronger. Every time you take action despite uncertainty, you build resilience. Fear loses its power when you refuse to let it dictate your choices. The strong version of you understands that fear is a sign of growth. It is proof that you are stepping outside of your comfort zone, that you are evolving into a higher version of yourself. It does not try to eliminate fear. It moves forward with it. The weak version of you listens to the voice of doubt. It tells you that you're not good enough, not smart enough, not capable enough. It reminds you of your past failures, using them as evidence that you should not even try. But doubt is a liar. It is the voice of limitation, a voice that only has power if you choose to believe it. Every person who has accomplished great things has faced doubt. The difference is that they did not let it stop them. They acknowledged it, but they chose to believe in their potential. Instead, your weak self will always find reasons why you can't succeed. It will point to your circumstances, your past, and your perceived weaknesses as proof that you are not meant for greatness. But the strong version of you knows that. The only limits that exist are the ones you accept. It understands that the mind is powerful and that what you focus on expands. If you focus on your limitations, they will grow. But if you focus on your strengths, on your potential, on your ability to figure things out, you will find a way forward. The weak version of you is afraid of judgment. It worries about what people will think if you fail, if you take risks, if you step outside of what is expected. It craves validation and fears rejection. But the truth is, people will always have opinions. No matter what you do, someone will criticize you. Someone will doubt you. Someone will tell you that you are making a mistake. If you let the fear of judgment control you, you will never truly live. You will always be holding back, making choices based on what others think, rather than what you truly want. The strong version of you understands that the only opinion that truly matters is your own. It knows that at the end of the day, you are the one who has to live with the consequences of your choices. It refuses to let the fear of judgment hold it back because it knows that the people who criticize are often the ones who are too afraid to take action themselves. They project their own fears onto others because they are unwilling to face their own challenges. The strong version of you does not seek approval. It seeks growth. It focuses on its mission, its vision, and its purpose, knowing that true fulfillment comes from living authentically. The weak version of you waits for certainty. It wants to know every step before taking action. It wants guarantees that everything will work out before it commits. But life does not work that way. There are no guarantees. There is no perfect path where everything unfolds exactly as planned. If you wait for certainty, you will wait forever. The strong version of you takes action. Despite uncertainty, it understands that clarity comes from movement, not from overthinking every step you take. No matter how small brings you closer to your goal, the more you move forward, the clearer the path becomes. If you want to kill the weak version of yourself, you must embrace uncertainty. You must accept that growth requires risk. You must stop waiting for the perfect moment and start now. The longer you wait, the more opportunities pass you by. The weak version of you will always find reasons to hesitate, to delay, to avoid taking action. But the strong version of you understands that progress is made through action, not hesitation. You must choose which voice you will listen to. The voice of fear, doubt, and hesitation will always be there trying to put you back into comfort, into safety, into mediocrity. But the voice of strength, courage, and resilience is also there, waiting for you to embrace it every day. You have a choice. You can listen to the voice that keeps you small, or you can listen to the voice that pushes you forward. The weak version of you wants to keep you stuck. It thrives on fear, on doubt, on hesitation, but the strong version of you is waiting. It is waiting for you to take control, to silence the excuses, to move forward. Despite the fear, it is waiting for you to step into the person. If you were meant to be, the question is, will you listen? Will you choose to stay where you are, or will you take the leap? Will you allow fear to dictate your life, or will you step into your power? The weak version of you will always try to hold why back, but it only has power if you allow it. The moment you decide to act, despite fear, to move forward, despite doubt, to pursue your goals, despite uncertainty, is the moment you begin to kill that weak version of yourself, and in its place, a stronger, bolder, more unstoppable version of you will emerge. The weak version of you is addicted to comfort. It seeks the easy way out, avoids difficulty, and settles for what is familiar. It convinces you that staying in your comfort zone is the safest option, that challenges are too hard, that pushing yourself is unnecessary. It whispers excuses into your mind, telling you that you don't have enough time, that you'll start tomorrow, that you don't have what it takes. But every day you listen to that voice, you remain stuck in the same place. You make no progress. You repeat the same patterns, live the same routine, and wonder why nothing changes. The weak version of you thrives on procrastination. It finds reasons to delay your goals, convincing you that now is not the right time. It tells you that you need more preparation, that you need more resources, that you need more motivation. But the truth is, you don't need any of that. What you need is to start. The weak version of you will always find an excuse to wait. It tells you that you're too tired, too busy, too uncertain. It tricks you into believing that waiting will somehow make things easier, that delaying action will somehow prepare you better. But all waiting does is steal your time. Your future self is watching every choice you make today. It is waiting for you to break free from hesitation, from comfort, from the endless cycle of inaction. The weak version of you doesn't want you to think about the future because it knows that if you did, you would see how much time you've wasted. It wants you to stay blind to the consequences of your choices. It wants you to remain distracted, focused on meaningless things that do not serve you, that do not move you forward. But deep down, you know the truth. You know that every moment you waste is a moment you will never get back. You know that every day spent avoiding your potential is a day you will one day regret. The weak version of you is ruled by instant gratification. It seeks pleasure over progress, distractions over discipline. It chooses comfort over commitment, entertainment over effort. It convinces you that relaxing now is more important than working towards your future. It urges you to waste hours scrolling through your phone, watching television, doing things that add no value to your life. And the more you give into these distractions, the stronger your weak self becomes. The stronger it becomes, the harder it is to break free. It builds habits of laziness, of avoidance, of self-sabotage. Before you know it, you spend years trapped in the same cycle, watching others succeed while you remain stuck in the same place. If you want to kill the weak version of yourself, you must break this cycle. You must train for yourself to choose long-term growth over short-term pleasure. You must learn to delay gratification, to sacrifice comfort for progress. This is not easy. It requires discipline, focus, and commitment. It requires you to do things you pluses I don't feel like doing to push through boredom, to embrace the struggle. But this is the path to real success. Every great achievement in life comes from sacrifice. Every successful person you admire has mastered the art of discipline. They do what needs to be done, whether they feel like it or not. They don't wait for motivation. They don't allow distractions to control them. They take action every single day, even when it's difficult, even when it's uncomfortable. The weak version of you wants you to believe that discipline is too hard. It tells you that it's exhausting, that you don't have the energy, that you'll never be able to sustain it. But discipline is not suffering. It is freedom. When you master discipline, you gain control over your life. You become the driver of your destiny rather than a passenger drifting through life. Discipline allows you to build the life you truly want rather than settling for whatever comes your way. It gives you power, confidence, and the ability to shape your future. The weak version of you hates accountability. It avoids responsibility, blaming circumstances, other people, or bad luck for its failures. It makes excuses for why things aren't working out, why you haven't made progress, why you're still stuck. It refuses to accept that your life is a reflection of your choices. But until you take full responsibility for where you are, you will never be able to change. The moment you stop blaming, stop making excuses, and start owning every aspect of your life is the moment you take your power back. You must look in the mirror and face the truth. The truth is the person
holding you back is not your past, not your circumstances, not other people. It is you. It is the weak version of you that you have allowed to control your life for too long. The good news is that you have the power to change. You have the power to kill that weak version of yourself and step into the strong, disciplined, unstoppable version of you. But you can do this for you. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to push you to be great. You must decide right now that enough is enough. You must decide that you will no longer allow excuses, distractions, or fear to control you. The journey will not be easy. There will be days when you want to give up, when you feel like you're not making progress, when you wonder if the struggle is worth it. But on those days, you must remind yourself why you started. You must remind yourself that staying the same is not an option, that every challenge, every struggle, every moment of discomfort is shaping you into the person you were meant to be. You must train your mind to embrace discomfort. You must develop a relentless work ethic, a hunger for growth, and unshakable belief in your ability. To succeed, you must stop waiting for the perfect moment and start now. The weak version of you will always try to pull you back into old habits, into comfort, into hesitation. But you are stronger than that. You have the power to rewrite your story, to create the life you want, to become the person you are destined to be. The only question is, will you step up? Will you rise above your excuses, your doubts, your fears? Will you kill the weak version of yourself and become the strong, disciplined, unstoppable version that is waiting to be unleashed? The choice is yours. But understand this: every day you wait, every moment you hesitate, the weak version of you grows stronger. Kill it now, step into your power, take control of your destiny, and never look back. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And make sure to subscribe for more money-making tips and powerful tools. I post new videos every week. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I always reply. Thank you for watching until the end. I'll see you in the next video. And if you have a moment, I'd love for you to check out the links below. Stoic Today is here to share content that helps you stay grounded, build confidence, attract wealth, and live a life of true success and fulfillment.